Back in Syria, Hadeel Oueis was an active leader in the struggle for a free Syria. She was arrested multiple times, spending no less than 52 days in prison. In 2011, when she decided her safest option was to flee the country, she was smuggled into Turkey and eventually landed in Switzerland. She was granted asylum in the United States after receiving pro bono representation through the organization Human Rights First, arriving in Maryland in 2012. She joins us now from Washington, D.C. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Take me back to those days of first days of protest in Syria. Did people feel like, although this is a more multicultural place, like this was Syria's version of the Arab Spring?
Yes, Syrians started their uprising peacefully. They were marching in streets, calling for freedom, and I was among them. I was one of them. I was a student in Aleppo University. We didn't know back then that the Assad regime would be that brutal against his own people. We didn't know that ISIS, like foreigners, will come from other states and establish their so-called Islamic State in Syria. I was arrested due to peaceful protesting, as many of my secular fellows, Syrians, and there were a gap, and it was filled by radicals who came from other states and established their Islamic State, the so-called Islamic State in Syria.
When you look at what's happening in Syria now, what do you see?
Sorry?
When you look at what's happening in Syria now, what do you see? When you see this massive flood of people trying to get out, trying to escape what you tried to escape?
Yes, it is very, very sad what's going on in Syria now. People didn't know that gonna happen, all of that to them. It started really peaceful uprising, and now it's horrible. The country is almost destroyed. Hundreds are fleeing the country every day. We have already more than 12 million displaced inside and outside Syria, and there are more flowing of refugees every day. Now we have Russian airplanes striking randomly on people. So Syrians are in a desperate need for help, like politically and on the also humanitarian level.
Yeah.
Hundreds are fleeing every day, and we need help.
Hadeel, just very briefly now, tell me what it means to you to have been able to find safe haven here in the United States.
I'm very thankful and happy I'm just alive again. I was almost dying in Syria. I was in danger. I was threatened by Assad regime to be arrested and maybe killed under torture, like a lot of my fellows. And then I found a safe place where I could study again. I'm at college now. I'm doing programming. I have a little daughter who was born here in the United States. I'm married. I'm living safely, and I'm very happy to live in this country that doesn't categorize people into black, white, Christians, Muslims, and I hope that other Syrians can find it and make it safe to America to start from the beginning.
Hadeel Oueis, thank you so much for taking the time to tell your story. Do appreciate it.
Thank you.